Welcome to this week's Give Voice to Your Vision. I am very excited for the conversation we're going to have today with a friend, colleague, someone I very much respect and admire. Jay Fairbrother is here to talk with us about why do clients stay longer when the work actually delivers bigger results? Jay is a mastermind expert. So we're going to talk about why experienced coaches get stuck in short-term client cycles. And we're going to break down, is a mastermind right for you? What isn't? What's the difference between a mastermind and group coaching? So many good things. And Jay, you're going to love him if you don't already know him, is a master of masterminds. So he's a serial entrepreneur, business coach. He's built some big, fancy, powerful things with awesome people, 30 years of experience. And he's going to break it down for us in terms of what he's doing right now to help people use his fewer, better, what is it? Fewer, better,
longer.
That's what we're talking about. I'm so excited, Jay. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks.
Great. So I want to dive right in. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, good. Awesome. I'm really interested to hear what your approach is and what you're seeing in terms of this clients staying longer and why that's working better and what you have to say about how we can design our business that way.
Okay.
So talk to me.
So the industry that we're in, thought leaders, coaches, speakers, consultants, is kind of built on a transactional model.
Yeah.
So we're taught start with a low ticket offer and then offer a course and then offer a 3-month program. And then you can someday graduate and have, a high ticket program, a 12-month program, et cetera. And a lot of it is built around content and training, right? So you run the program, content is over, training's done, the program's done, people leave, and they've often gotten some improvement, right? You help them improve some part of their lives. But what they usually haven't gotten in these short-term programs is transformation. Right?
Yeah.
So that's an important distinction, because when most people are looking for transformation and they buy your program, your 6 or 8 week course or your 3-month group coaching program, and they get some improvement, but they're thinking what I really wanted was transformation and I don't feel like a different person. Thank you for the improvement, but the program's done. See you later. Right. So it keeps us in this sort of hamster wheel launch model where we constantly need new clients, new revenue, another launch, and keep filling that pipeline. And it's just transactional by nature.
Yeah. So what's your story? How did you get into masterminds?
That's a long story.
I got all day. No, just kidding.
Yeah. So I started my first company 30 years ago and pretty quickly grew it to $1 million, got stuck there, hired consultants and coaches and read all the business books, couldn't get beyond that. 25 years ago, I joined my first mastermind. And we joined it just to grow our businesses and become better entrepreneurs, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is a transformational process, but that's a side note. Go on.
Yeah. Well, what happened, was not what I expected, because within 5 or 6 months in these meetings, I'm starting to watch grown men break down and cry as they start talking about their terrible marriages and their kid problems and the anxiety and depression that running a business is creating. And it was whoa, this is not what I signed up for. But for me, being kind of the poster child for disconnection as a young adult, it was my first real experience with this level of human connection. And so I went all in and started joining every mastermind I could over the next several years, facilitating and creating my own. And that first business took off. So I was doing about $1 million when I joined the mastermind. Several years later, I'm at $10 million. And I was fortunate enough to sell that business in 2004.
Amazing.
So that's only the first half of the story.
Yeah.
And the second half is that, life was good. I just sold a business. I traveled. I bought 3 other businesses. I invested in a lot of things. And then 2008 came.
Yes, I
And
remember well. What
yeah,
happened?
yeah, the world financial crisis, the Great Recession. And so that started in 2008. By 2012, I had lost everything.
Mm, mm.
So in that time period, literally went from multimillionaire living in a mansion overlooking one of the rivers of Pittsburgh to living in my friend's basement. Broke, bankrupt, divorced, alone, and just ashamed, right?
Yeah,
Because for
yeah,
15 years, I had built this identity as this really successful serial entrepreneur. And
yeah,
there I'm sitting in that basement, didn't even own a car.
yeah,
So obviously, I just wanted to hide, right?
yeah.
I spent 5 months literally in that basement, but more like 5 years figuratively,
Yeah.
dealing with the shame and imposter syndrome. And,
Yeah.
I didn't just bounce right back. And during that time, as that was happening, I quit almost everything I was involved in. I quit networking groups, I quit friendships, I quit many of the masterminds I was in, but I stayed in that first one. And I frankly don't think I'd be sitting here today if it weren't for the support that I got from those people.
Yeah.
Financial, emotional, spiritual support
Yeah.
literally carried me through that time. So, my story is that in a real sense, masterminds helped me 10x my first business and save my life during that time period. And so that's
Yeah.
why I'm passionate about what I do and helping other people create programs that can have that kind of an effect.
I love that so much. So we're going to recap here for a minute in case anyone's just joining us live. If you're here, please comment. Let us know you're here. Ask your questions. We'll come back and make sure they all get answered. We're on 3 platforms today. So we are talking about business growth is personal growth, right? And your story illustrates it so powerfully. And if we aren't lining up with like our own expansion, whatever that is, dealing with our own stuff, our business growth is capped, which I love that so much. And you also talked about identity and such a great story and right-sized humility in sharing it with us, because I know how people we're pouring our hearts and souls into these businesses or the mission that we have or the calling or the speaking, and we try a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's working great and sometimes it isn't. So I know how powerful it is to have a place to go when the doubt comes in or the uncertainty comes in or what was working doesn't work. And the identity of how we start to feel like imposter syndrome. It's like not something we necessarily cut out once and for all, right? Because we're always expanding to a new thing and we have ups and downs. And so mastermind for you, and I'm sure what you're teaching and holding space for others to create and in your own, is a place for that kind of real, deep, we're calling it transformation, right? Or I would call it maybe expansion too, like stepping into your next identity again and again.
Yeah. And I think I love that you touched on the passion piece, because I think that's one of the biggest problems in our industry, coaches, thought leaders, et cetera.
Yeah.
Because people launch programs based on their 25 or 30 years of experience. They launch programs they think that people will buy, right? Instead of launching the program that you're passionate about. Because when you have that passion, that carries you through the imposter syndrome, and it carries you through getting into the weeds in terms of, spending months in the AI, perfecting the marketing language and that kind of stuff. It's just, you follow that passion and everything else becomes easier.
That is exactly why I have my business. I have, I've been saying your calling won't quit, right? For years. It really won't leave me alone, and it hasn't left any of my clients alone. And squeezing ourselves into a box to make things sellable is something I have come around to. I was talking with a friend earlier today. I've bargained with that calling over and over. And when we're in that pure alignment, and it's only happens in a present moment, right? Of like connection to the passion and the calling. And we aren't questioning it or fighting it or doubting it, then it is a total reliable, it's the most practical thing we can do. as a compass. It becomes our compass. But we have ups and downs in business, and we start to question things. And then we start to say, am I even supposed to do this? And what am I even doing? And is it working? So our calling can be our compass, or it can be our conundrum. Like, what am I doing, and how? And I'm in my own current, this moment, I almost cried when you started talking just now, of like, I have been holding back or tamping down some of my magic, some of that work, the depth and breadth of what I do. And I think that mastermind and long-term support in a safe container is pretty much the way that works for that kind of expansion. And so that we're not just being like a problem that needs to be fixed, but we're really being called forward and supported into to step into that next sized identity of who we're becoming.
Yeah, and there's two parts to the passion. There's the passion for the calling, right? There's the passion for the what is the program you're delivering. But to me, what's more important is the passion for the people. In
100%.
other words, if you're passionate about the clients, if you are hand selecting and curating clients, which is what we do in masterminds versus group coaching or courses, you're choosing who you want to work with. So,
100%.
every day I literally get to jump out of bed in the morning because I get to work with the clients that I handpicked and selected, invited into my inner circle.
Yeah.
And that just makes everything else easier. It just flows.
It does. And it makes their results better because of the alignment and their buy-in and the resonance and the connection that you're having between the two of you, and their commitment, right? Like making a commitment to stay all in and play all in is also how part of that transformation happens. Fantastic. So I wanted to ask you one more question, and I also want to be sure we get to the fewer, better, longer. What I want you to talk us through that. But there's some practical things. Like you mentioned how people we're told or we're sold that we have to have a little thing and then a middle thing and then the big thing. And I got to tell you, my business became sustainable. Partly when I took my business online, it was because somebody told me that, and I did it. I like out of the blue went from charging $150 to like closing a $20,000 client. And I was like, whoa, this is different. I didn't know I could do that. But then I got on the hamster wheel too, of like the course and the program, and that's how people are going to know you, and da 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 da. So talk to me about like, whether or not what's the perfect timing to have a mastermind offer to you? Like, do you have to be a big name coach? Do you have to go slow, middle, high? I know you think that we don't. Tell me about that. Why?
Yeah. So no, I mean, I literally flip the model upside down. I start talking to people immediately about my mastermind when they come into my world, and I skip all those other steps.
Beautiful.
Right. So for me, because I did the same thing, right? I started with a low ticket thing, and then I built a course, and it was like the fourth or fifth time I launched the course, and I'm looking at my numbers going, what am I doing wrong here? And I had two mentors at the time. I showed them all my stats and numbers, and they're like, Jay, you're not doing anything wrong. You're hitting industry averages. And I'm thinking like, my God, I'm going to have to launch this thing like 10 times a year just to, not have a hobby and have a real business.
Yeah.
And then
I don't want to work this hard for those results.
As soon as I created my high ticket client mastermind, I tripled my revenue in 6 months.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so my model is that you don't need to be an established, big authority expert. Almost anyone can do this. And you can do it with not thousands of people on your email list or in your funnel. You can do it with 50, 100, because you're looking for 10 or 20 of the right people willing to invest in themselves, willing to invest in transformation, and want your help.
Yeah.
And it makes all the difference.
I love that. And so I also stopped. I woke up. I called it like waking up from an entrepreneurial blackout. After all the funnels and the partners and the courses and this, and I thought that it was because I wasn't doing it right, or I needed more visibility or more leads or more. And it was when I flipped it to a higher level offer for sure that it all changed. And it was after I made my first mastermind offer. And that's definitely how I had my first $100,000 quarter and, all of those milestones. And so I'm with you. I'm with you. I love what you're saying. And I love how clear it is for you. So fewer, better, longer. Gonna break it down for us just a little bit. We also have a way for you guys to really learn from the master here too. So when we're in a few minutes, I'm going to share a class that you're holding. But first, I'd love to just have a teaser. Tell me how you break that down. Fewer,
Yeah,
better.
it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
You make more money and have a bigger impact with fewer clients. So
Nice.
it's all based on not needing the big fancy sales funnel and the huge email lists. You attract a better quality client, the ones who actually show up and do the work and get the transformation.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever done online courses or sold these low or mid-ticket or short-term programs, you know that one of the biggest problems is people, don't show up, do the work, and get the result. And then they leave your world, right? Because they're not getting transformation.
Yeah. Or it's not possible in those small short-term containers with a specific part of we're solving part of the process in most of those things. Like we're not giving them the whole promise, right? And so there's often, if there's a lot more people or if it's just this chunk, they don't have enough support, accountability, connection to have that big lasting result. And that can even lead to them like, this didn't work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I got some improvement, but I was looking for transformation. So I'm going to move on to the next person or the next program or the next guru.
Yeah. Yeah. And we get stuck in a cycle of looking outside of ourselves for the next answer.
Yeah.
And piecemealing it together instead of.
Yeah. And we're bombarded every single day with people selling us the next tactic, the next strategy, the next program.
Singing my song, 100%. Yeah. Which gets us to like having higher level support over a longer period of time. In a great container, you're facilitated to like tune in some way and like develop your own barometer too for like what is it you want to be, what are you creating? How, we can get lost in the details of it and not see the horizon, right?
Yeah,
beautiful.
So that's fewer, better, longer, and we're going to invite people to a masterclass that's called How to Attract and Keep Clients for 3 Years, Not 3 Months.
I'm looking at it right here. It looks so good. I can't wait. Yeah.
And the concept's really simple. When you invite people into a mastermind program, you're going to have an initial commitment of 6 or 12 months, right? Mm-hmm. But unlike courses and group coaching programs, it doesn't end in 6 or 12 months. That's just renewal time.
Yeah.
And when you create the container properly and invite the right people into it, at the end of those 6 and 12 months, now they've built relationships. They're getting value from all the other members in the program, not just from you, the guru, that they don't want to leave in 6 or 12 months because it's like, oh, I love the other people in the program. So even if you've run out of content in 6 or 12 months, people don't want to leave. They'll stick around because of the value they're now getting by being part of the container, tapping into the, collaboration, co-creation, accountability, and support that they're getting from peers, as well as all of, your brilliance as a thought leader, coach, or mentor.
Yeah, I love that so much. And then you also get to expand into that with them, even as the facilitator, right? Like when you have a more sustainable business model and you're not like building funnel after funnel, workshop after workshop, blah, 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 and you can like actually have a longevity community, your financials are much more stable, like you shared, right? So then you have the bandwidth to like dig in deep. What will help them? How can I, bring this community up, or what is next? Or if a lot of people want to do this, let's bring in an expert, that kind of thing. So
that's another beauty of it. Instead of you teaching the same thing over and over again, like sometimes when you've been doing this for a long time, I see this with people, they're delivering their course or they're delivering their training, and it's like they've lost the passion for it because it's just the same thing. Exactly what you're saying. The mastermind, it evolves with the people, right? Yeah. So you're constantly changing and adding and adapting to the people in the program and the people you're attracting. So it just makes it just so much more challenging, fun, and transformational, not only for the people, but for you as the
facilitator. Yeah. Beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and pop the link for this. I'm looking at the description and it just looks really good, and we get to actually have you walk us through this process and learn from you. So I'm going to go ahead and share the link. I had one other question, but now in sharing the link, I may have forgotten it. Hang on, hold that thought, Michelle.
Difference between group coaching and masterminds?
Yeah, let's go there and I'll remember what it was.
Okay. So group coaching, courses, group coaching, right? Mm-hmm. People show up, pray to the altar of the guru, some
Yeah.
Q&A, maybe a hot seat for good measure, and that's the program, right? So
Yeah.
it's a one to guru relationship. Masterminds, you're intentionally building relationships with all the people in the program together. And that's where a lot of the value comes from. And so there's a nuance to creating a container where you build psychological safety so that you get to that point where people are willing to open up, maybe not
Yeah.
immediately, but willing to open up and talk about their marital problems and their personal issues and those kinds of things, which is really what, the world's starving for human connection.
Yeah.
And that's what this kind of program can provide. And to me, that's where transformation is created, is when you have that connection with people and you build that safety so people can show up without the masks, without agendas, without being afraid to ask the stupid questions or being judged, where everyone is in it to help each other and support each other. And to me, that's the magic of this.
Yeah. And if we don't address those things that are in our life, and because I work in the realm of visibility and self-expression, and so a lot of very successful people, myself included, honestly, layer by layer, have some raw, ragged vulnerability around charging or being visible or staying in the game or playing all in. And it does affect marriages and children, and health comes up, right? We're like whole people. And for people that are building their own business, it's all having an effect. So it's not like we have to, go, compartmentalize like, oh, I'm working on myself over here. I really believe our business is a crucible for transformation. Like staying in it is not for the faint of heart. And really, like, we're constantly calibrating to that next level of our own expression through the business. And if we try and separate things out of that or not deal with some of those things, they end up driving the bus underneath. Right. And so having first of all, the skill and the clarity and the understanding, the nuance between mastermind group coaching and deciding this is the kind of business I want to build, the transformation I want to have, and the skill to hold that container. I got to say, it's goosebump city, right? It's not about like wallowing around in our problems. It's like watching transformation and expansion happen before our eyes. So I think it's a not often talked about enough. I'll say not talked about enough. You will hear, personal development is business development, like I threw out a little while ago, but like really doing the deep work of staying in your game, building something, creating something from nothing. Right? Our business is something from nothing, again, every single day we get up. And learning how to, well, first of all, be like you did, having a place to do that, but then like being holding a container for that, being someone who does it. It's really what I wish I'd known 30 years ago. I would have been doing it 30 years ago. It is what you said. You get up every day and you're like, I'm so lucky I get to talk to these people. Right? Like, I love this.
And you can't separate that personal from the business in this world that we live in as thought leaders and coaches and mentors. Like, it's all part of it. And a lot of people think that a mastermind, like, oh, you're asking me to give up my coaching and mentoring and training, and I'm just going to sit back and facilitate. No. When we create these programs as thought leaders, people still want our training, coaching, and mentoring, and you build that into the program, but you add the layer of the facilitation, the human connection, the relationship building, and that's what makes it transformational.
I love it. I love it. I can't keep the transformation out of my stuff, Jay. I'm just like, we're going in. We're going all in. Better if we stay longer, right? Anything else that you would add specifically about what we're going to do in this masterclass so people can know what we're going to do when we join you for class?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go through a lot more detail about these types of programs, why they're great, for all the reasons they're great for as a business model. Mm-hmm. And also talk about how, like, I don't believe in a cookie cutter way to create masterminds. And there's people out there like me that teach masterminds that tell you that, like, here's a cookie cutter system, here's how you run meetings. And I don't believe in that. I think every mastermind should be unique to the person running it and should be a combination of tapping into your superpower, but more importantly, how you deliver the most transformation for the clients, because that's really why we're in this game to begin with, right? Is we're trying to help people.
So good. This is a public service announcement and maybe an intervention. Like if you are not, oh, I lost it. I was having so much fun with the game. If you aren't, oh gosh, I lost it, you guys. I'm so transparent. But it's like an intervention on cookie cutter. Thank you. The universe gave it back to me, right? Like it would be so great if we could have a cookie cutter template script course program, dial it in, one and done. This is proven, it's going to work for you forever. And if you leave you out of it and you're not actually in a customized creating your business your way and delivering your magic your way, taking pieces from all those things is great. But if you don't have a way to customize it, you're leaving the best part out and it's not going to work. And that leads to self-doubt and broken confidence day after day, because we're like, I did it all the way they said. So Jay, I can't wait for your class. I'm so good. It sounds so good. I'm so glad that we're having a chance to join you. Is there anything else you want us to know? It's been so good to talk with you.
No, it's a 60-minute masterclass. There's going to be plenty of time at the end for Q&A, and I can help coach you around how this model might apply to your specific business, because that's the other disconnect that people have is like,
right.
Even if they hear all the information about why masterminds are good, they're like, I'm not sure how I would do it for my business.
Right.
So at the end of the masterclass, I stick around for as long as anyone wants to. I can talk about masterminds all day long.
I love it. and I'm going to, that's generous and it's quite an opportunity. So I'm going to encourage people who are curious or thinking about it to actually take you up on that. And I'll also say that like not knowing what questions to ask or trying to figure it out on our own and not having enough of the right perspective, like having your eyes on like, well, what could that look like? And seeing the picture is a mistake as well. We've all got AI and lots of information. We can all Google anything, right? But actually having the transmission and live experience with a person who's been there and done it to help you identify what you want and what you could create and what would feel aligned with you is, I think, often a missing link that people end up spending years and years trying to piece it together on their own because they're just not sure, not realizing that they're not asking the right question. So that's an incredible opportunity to have your customization on what that could look like. Right. And also you're the foundation you're saying of like, it has to be yours. Right. I think that's a really powerful combo. Lucky people.
Yeah.
Hey man, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's so great.
Anytime you can invite me back anytime.
I will. We're looking toward turning our live stream. We've been doing this for like almost 10, well, since live stream happened. That was 2016. So 10 years now. And we're looking to turn it into a podcast. So we'll get you back on.
Nice.
Thanks so much for being here, Jay. Go to class, you guys, 6-figure masterminds. I can't wait. All right. That's it for this week's Give Voice to Your Vision. Share this with a friend and we'll see you on the next episode.